Returning to the protests against that anti-Islam video now, the violence has spread to cities across the Middle East and Africa. In Tunisia, at least 2 people have been killed in clashes outside the US Embassy in Tunis. Several protesters managed to break into the building while a separate attack targeted an American school. In the Sudanese capital, 3 people died after clashes outside the US Embassy compound. Earlier protesters also targeted the embassies of Germany and Britain. US Marines are on their way to boost security. US Marines are also heading for Yemen, where 4 people were killed outside the embassy in the capital, Sana'a. There's been another night of protests in Egypt. Hundreds demonstrated near the US Embassy in Cairo, where a massive concrete wall has been built to keep crowds back.
America is sending reinforcements to bolster security at many of its embassies, including Khartoum in Sudan. The British and American embassies were attacked yesterday, but it was the German embassy that felt the full force of the mob. At least 3 people were reported killed in the violence. The anger against Western targets has been seen in at least 15 countries. This was Tunisia, where 2 people were killed as crowds attacked the American embassy. In Cairo, protests continued throughout the night, despite appeals by President Morsi for the crowds to disperse. At least 1 protester died. The protests have become a global movement. This was Pakistan, but there have also been outpourings of anger amongst the Muslim populations of Nigeria, Bangladesh and Indonesia. In London, a few hundred people marched to the American embassy. Here in the UK, there was anger, but no violence.
In Indonesia, a prominent cleric urged Muslims to remain calm, but Hizbut Tahrir Indonesia, which advocates a worldwide Islamic state, blamed America for allowing the film to be released. Meanwhile, in the Lebanese city of Tripoli, protesters set fire to a KFC fast food outlet, sparking clashes with police and leaving 1 person dead. And an effigy of President Barack Obama was paraded in Kenya and burnt alongside an American flag. Just more of the numerous US emblems set alight in this region and beyond.
More protests have been held across the Muslim world against a film made in the US that criticises the Prophet Muhammad. The Muslim Brotherhood cancelled planned rallies across Egypt, opting instead for a smaller demonstration at Cairo's Tahrir Square. Security remains tight outside the US Embassy in the city. One Cairo resident deplored the violence that the film has sparked. "We have other ways to protest. We shouldn't destroy our property and waste our own money like that." An angry demonstration was also held in Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. The country's government has long been an ally of the US in its fight against Al-Qaeda in the region. Protesters said it was unacceptable to use the right of freedom of speech to criticize their religion. This local man said, "We want to defend our prophet, but also denounce America for not even punishing those behind this anti-Islamic film."
At an airbase near Washington, the president and other high-level dignitaries held a somber homecoming ceremony for those 4 Americans who were killed in Libya when this all began. As Dan Lothian reports for us now, it was a moment of sorrow and also resolve.
In the same week that Americans remembered the pain of 9/11, another somber moment. A transfer of remains ceremony at Joint Base Andrews as the bodies of 4 Americans killed in Libya came home.
4 Americans, 4 patriots. They loved this country, and they chose to serve it and served it well. They had a mission, and they believed in it. They knew the danger, and they accepted it. They didn't simply embrace the American ideal, they lived it. They embodied it.
They are 52-year-old Ambassador Chris Stevens, a career diplomat who volunteered in the Peace Corps as a young man and played a key role in Libya during the Arab Spring uprising. 41-year-old Tyrone Woods, a former Navy SEAL, father of 3 boys. Fellow former Navy SEAL, 42-year-old Glenn Doherty, who had a passion for the outdoors. And computer expert, 34-year-old Sean Smith, a husband and father of 2.
We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video that we had nothing to do with. It is hard for the American people to make sense of that because it is senseless and it is totally unacceptable.
As the administration faces tough questions about support for the Arab Spring and the status of U.S. relations with countries like Egypt, President Obama reaffirmed his commitment to the region.
America is a friend, that we care not just about our own country, not just about our own interests, but about theirs. That even as voices of suspicion and mistrust seek to divide countries and cultures from one another, the United States of America will never retreat from the world.
President Obama and Secretary Clinton said that the leaders in the region need to restore security and hold those responsible accountable. In addition, the Obama administration is vowing to continue taking steps to protect other U.S. personnel around the world.